Yes, folks. How's everyone? Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone had a nice festive period. Welcome back to the normal world again. Hope everyone is good anyway. Hey, back to normality with Leeds United winning, but away from home, which isn't so normal these days, is it? It is now, apparently. We're very good. Let's do the review and the player ratings as one. Goalkeeper, look. Not gonna spend too long on it. First save of the game he had to make. He did it. Good save, got his leg out really well. Distribution for the most part was very good. I know people have mentioned the one or two times it wasn't great, but for the 99% of it, it was excellent. He played some really good passes into spaces where the space was, if that makes sense. He made the right decisions, is what I'm saying. He found the spare man a lot of the time. So very good. Well done, Elon. Difficult circumstances. Well, that mist, that fog, whatever you want to call it, insane. Centre backs, and this was the story going into the game, wasn't it? The changing from Ampadu, who was no longer at centre back, with Pascal Strout back. We'll get into that in a second. I want to talk about these two real quick. Again, it's one of them games where they had a very basic, well, not basic, a very straightforward job to do, but they very much did it for the most part. There's one time where they got the header in where they probably should have scored, where he did run off Pascal. They kind of lost him for a half second. So there's that. And then, but apart from that, I thought they were very good. I thought the passing was decent. Rodon probably had one or two. But apart from that, I thought they were absolutely excellent, as usual. What's to say? Pascal's come back into the side. Having been out with an injury in the last game, looked very good. Come back in, the partnership looks decent. Yeah, there's not much to say about the centre-backs, really, is there? Let's be honest. They're both good again. How many times have we said that this season? But there is a lot to talk about this. Wrong bit. That's not this. But what we will talk about a lot of is one of them, which is Jayden Bogle. I give him a 9, people. And you guys know I do not give 9s easily. Got to change the numbers. Oh, well. Why was he 9, Jayden Bogle? Well, quite simply put, it was brilliant in every way. There was a real energy about him yesterday. And what you could tell, for me, from when he played was they've clearly done training with him at the forefront of it. You could tell every time we went that side, Bogle's position, the timing of his running into spaces was correct every time. Now, this isn't just the player's instinctive movements. This is something you've repeated in training for hours. This is something you've done at training, 100%. And you could tell whether it was underlapping or overlapping, we were so good at finding overloads in that midfield role. So good. And what we did well was we found him. When he made the run, we found him. We give it to him in the spaces. There were so many times we exposed them, and what we did, we blew him so high, we created an overload, and Dan James just allowed on that last man, occupying that fullback, which he does so well, by the way. It's just to give Jayden Bogle a bit of space in midfield, or wherever he was, high up, central, a bit more central at times. Just give him space to drive with it, pick a pass, playing Dan James in behind, which we saw 2 or 3 times in the game, which worked every single time. It's a really good right side that. It's developing into something brilliant. It really is. Dan James and Jayden Bogle are just working things out down there. They're understanding each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, what they can both do. Using Dan James as a tool is the best thing you can do in this team because he's literally by far quicker than anyone else he'll come up against. And he's willing to use that pace directly. More than anyone in this league, I'd say. So direct, it's a joke. When you marry that with Jayden Bogle, who's also very good going forward and also likes to move inside and drive at people and has a good forward pass, you've got a deadly partnership there. And that partnership down that right was very, very good last night. Very, very good. Jayden Bogle was excellent. Balls in behind, balls through, the same stuff we usually get with him, but with more kind of understanding and more aggression, if that made sense. He was playing with so much energy. Every time he got the ball, he looked like we were going to create a big chance. And that's credit to what we've done at training, how hard we've worked on that. That's clearly something we've worked on. The manager clearly wants to get the best out of them too, because he knows how good they can be. And we saw the best out of them too. So I was very impressed. And look, down the left side, the build-up play higher up was, as usual, very good. In kind of around the box, the triangles were very good. Sam Byram's, I don't know his pass percentage, but every time he got the ball, he did the right thing. You give it to the winger, you give it inside. Crisp, firm pass, did his job very well. What a man. Coming in for when Firpo's out, doing a brilliant role wherever he plays every week. And he was solid again with Sam Byram. He gets involved as well. It's underrated. He gets involved in the build-up. Probably not as high up consistently as Jayden Bogle. Obviously doesn't run beyond as much because he's not that type of player. But what he does do, deeper in the build-up, and we start in the move-off or in that middle kind of area around the halfway line, he's very key in those build-up phases. So shout Sam Byram as well. But Bogle, he got a 9 from me. I thought he was brilliant. Midfield, a lot of discussion and interesting. Hey, Tanaka on the bench. Barker did come out. Go check it on X. He did come out and say he's resting Tanaka and he'll be back in for Derby. Whether he's just using that, who knows? The fact of the matter is, this is it for me. Like this is it. You guys know I absolutely love Tanaka. I think he's an unbelievable footballer. And if I was a manager, I'd have started him. But I'm not. That's the difference. I'm not at the level of Daniel Farker for sure. Not even 1%. These guys know what they're doing. And I'm not bothered by it. Like, this is it. I don't care if they didn't pick him. Fair enough, you won the game. You made the right decision. Because when you didn't pick him, what you do have is 2 quality players in there who played really well. And I'll give them both a 7. But the reason being, because I don't think really that there was any outright craziness happening there. I think they just did the job really well. Ampadu came back in. I am seeing, I don't know whether people are just blinded by 2 or 3 games at the start of the season. And some last season about him slowing it down. He didn't. For me, he didn't. He didn't at all. I don't think he did slow it down. I thought he was actually really good at going forward with tempo. I think that was a team thing. I think we've changed now. I think we're about getting it forward quicker, getting it forward directly, being vertical. That's a mindset now that's changed. Ampadu does do that at times, but I don't think he did in this game. What I remember, every time he did try to go forward, he did it correctly. When he went sideways or backwards, it was the right decision for the most part. But now, one thing, the first kind of 10 minutes, I do feel Ampadu was driving a little bit into Rothwell's space, and Rothwell came a little redundant. But when they figured out kind of the dynamics of where they should be, it looked very solid. And we know they're very good players. Ampadu looks like he's not been out for months. Again, against harder opposition, maybe it's a bit more of a struggle, but they have a good midfield. There's Stoke, Berger in there. They have a good midfield. It's not an easy midfield to come back into. So he did really well in that role. I thought he did really well. He covered really well as well. So, and Rothwell just did his thing as usual. I thought he did well. He drove forward. Really good combination on that left side. Really got involved in the build-up play. Create space for Ampadu or whoever it was to come into the middle, just by drifting out of it. They were solid. But yeah, the question now is what will happen to Derby? Who will come out? Who will go in? Let's see. The wingers. Now, the only reason Manor Solomon didn't get an 8.5 was he didn't have his shooting boots on. He didn't have his shooting boots on last night. That's the only difference. Because in terms of build-up and just the IQ of the player and his decision-making in the final third, he's by far our best of them 4 for me. Dan James is the more direct, but I feel Dan James has less decisions to make because he's relatively straightforward. When he gets the ball, he's relatively on the last man or in behind. So it's kind of that 1 or 2 decisions he has to make of, do I cross it or do I not? Whereas on that left side, it's more of a build-up phase. So there's more passes and movement. There's more intricate passing and movement to go around, if that makes sense. Manor Solomon is an extremely smart football player who knows where spaces are, where to go, where to exploit. His pass detail is brilliant. His movement off the ball is excellent, just to pass and go, pass and receive, 1-2s, whatever you want to call them. He does it excellent. He does it consistently for the 90 minutes. The only thing that, he tore that right back. He couldn't get near him for the most part. He's really keen build-up. He's so good at it. He's a smart footballer. He looks levels above now. The only thing he missed was his right boot. It was a little off. But hey, again, he missed that chance, which I've seen people, as you'd expect, crying on social media about it. Other players in the game miss bigger chances, but we won't talk about them ones because people like to be blind to certain players missing chances, don't they? So it is what it is. People in the last few games have missed very big chances as well. Everyone does it. It's football. Get over it. It's fine. But yeah, I thought it was absolutely key. These two wingers are starting. You can't take them out. I think it'd be silly to take them out. Again, the numbers, you can't see them behind my head. Ignore that. But you can't take them out. How can you take them out? I don't think you can. They're both, especially that right side, just how well of a kind of combination him and Dan James and Bogle have down that right side. It's a joke. Dan James, again, I said this months ago in a video. I talked about Dan James. Not months ago, about a month ago. Where I just said how much of a threat he is, even when he's not on the ball. That might sound obvious, but the point being, he's not just a threat because of who he is, he's a threat because he makes himself one. He's so direct that fullback simply cannot focus on anything else other than him. Because he plays on their shoulder, that he has to think about him at all times. Even the ball's at the other side of the pitch. You know, with one ball in behind, if that ball's a little wide, he will be there. Fullback constantly has to always focus on him. It just creates space in front of the fullback, and that's exactly where Jurgen Bogle was exploiting. Because in order to remedy that space, the centre-back has to come out and then there'll be space in behind. So that's what we did really well. We kept Dan James high and wide just to occupy that fullback. He's such a threat. Obviously gets the assist. Great assist again. That ball from Bogle, same stuff that we've seen all game. It worked finally. Little crosses were a little off at times, but he got the final one in the end. That's why I give him an 8. And again, just for Manor Solomon, if he'd have hit one of them shots he had in the net, he'd have got a much higher score. But these two are genuinely brilliant right now. They're undroppable. Maybe drop for a rest. Of course, we know rotation is going to happen there. That's absolutely fine. But in terms of form, you simply cannot. They're by and away the two most secure players in this team right now for me. I think they look excellent. Maybe not in the team, but you know what I mean. Of the front four, they're the most two secures for me. And then these two, probably the most criticised players in the team, stood up last night. Stood up. They stood up. You know, for all the criticism they get, overly criticism, based on things that they are. This is the thing. If a player's that type of player, just whatever. If Perot does things that Perot usually does, it is what it is. That's who he is. Brendan Aronson does things he usually does. That's who he is. Like, you want them to improve. At the end of the day, it's not going to happen in a week. You know, last night, what did we see? Well, Joe Perot scored 2 goals. You know what I figured out? Joe Perot plays better when you have Aronson and Solomon around him. He's much better on that side than he is on the right. I think the right side is too direct and quick, whereas that left side, when you build up with Aronson, Rothwell and Solomon, and Byron when he joins in, is a little more one touch to feet, pass and move, and I think he likes that. I think he prefers that. You see some good combinations with him, Solomon, Aronson. I think he prefers that side to build up. 100%. And when we use him on that side, he looks effective. But when we try to go a little more central, with not really anyone close to him, he struggles. When there's people close running around him, that kind of occupies certain players, gives him a little more time. I think he's much better and more effective. And look, like I've been saying every day, you get him in the box, he scores your goals. Look, he nearly made a hash of the first one, but my God, what a finish that is. And then the second one, he's there, he's in the box, in the space, on the back post, goal. What he does. It doesn't change what I want to happen in January, just because I feel we need a player with a similar goal-scoring ability as Perot, but a different option that can still get them goals from the bench for me. Consistently. And we don't have that. But for me, he scored his goals, he's decent in build-up, still does certain things that frustrate you, but it is what it is. Is he quiet at times? Yeah, that's not a criticism of him. That's the players. I keep saying this. You're not giving him the ball. What's he going to do as a striker? Strikers usually have the least touch in the game because they're furthest up the pitch. They're the hardest to get. They're the most isolated. It's difficult for strikers to get involved in the game. You're at the top of the pitch. they've got to get it to you. But the fact of the matter is, he'll score your goals in the box, give him as many chances as possible in the game. That's how you win if you're Leeds United. Fact of the matter is this: if you give him the ball in the box more than 2 or 3 times a game, he'll probably get you 1 or 2 goals. And then you'll probably win the game on the 1 or 2 goals because we don't concede many. But for me, that's the key. Give him the ball as much as possible in dangerous spaces in the box and he'll score you goals. He's got to move as well. He's got to find those spaces. But usually he does. Some games he's off it. Some games he's not. And when he's not, give him it as much as possible in those dangerous spaces and he'll score your goals. He'll win your games. It's as simple as that. And Brendan Aronson, again, the most criticised person. He was brilliant yesterday. And the reason why Aronson is in that role, the role, by the way, which cannot be played at the same level by anyone on the pitch. A lot of people online and this and that. And anyone can play there. If anyone could play there, you wouldn't. No one. The 10 wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be a profiler player. It'd just be a winger. Just be a forward, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter. It's a midfield role. It's not a forward role. Because there's more central defensive responsibilities. It's a midfield role. And within that role, they get forward. But within that role, they also drop back. If they're playing a midfield 3, the opposition, you'll have to drop into midfield. There's no overload. It's a midfield role. Now, the traditional 10 is kind of a lost cause in football, to be honest with you. That small technical player in the middle, it's kind of different now. They have different, it's kind of become slightly vacant to what it was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's a different role now. It requires more work rate, requires more impact deeper or higher in the box. It's more of a transitional role these days as opposed to what it was. But what you do need in that area, and a key part of it, is when you're in those spaces between the lines or in between the defence and the midfield, you have to be quick on the half turn. You have to be ready to receive on the half turn. No one in this team can do that but Aronson. As good as he can. No one can. They will receive with back to goal, then turn. Aronson receives on the half turn. It's a little skill that he's excellent at because his spatial awareness, the final third, he's absolutely brilliant. It's really good. As a winger, your spatial awareness predominantly is looking inside because you're on the wing. There's no one behind you. It's off the pitch. It's a completely different skill set. Someone who played on the wing and in the 10, it's completely different. I felt so uncomfortable when out in the 10, receiving with back to goal because I didn't know what behind me. Players like Aronson, they understand what's around them. They scan, they understand it. They have a feeling of what's around them. It's a different mentality. If you want to get a player into that role, it takes months. It takes a long time to adjust to it. Now, that's not to say at training that they're not doing bits where Ramazani plays in there or Nonto's in there, or they give him clips at the end of the game from the analysis team of what you need to do in that role in the 10 to help them or learn in case Aronson does get injured and we have to bring someone else in. Then they can fill in. That's absolutely fine and that could happen. Fact of the matter is, I'm not starting them over him in that role unless he needs a rest because he's better than them in that role because he understands it more. That's the key part of it. And actually, I thought yesterday was really good. I thought his decision-making was clean. It was direct. He made the right choices and the right decisions. He didn't hold on to it too long. 1 or 2 times he lost the ball. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Rutter lost the ball more than anyone last year in our team. Consistently every game. It happens in that. It happens. It's part of the role. It's a risky role. You're on the half turn, like I said. You're always in a position to lose the ball. You're going forward with it for the most part. You're taking risks. And he was very good. He had a few decent shots which the keeper saved. He was involved in the play. Didn't get an assist for the pro. Oh no, he did get an assist for the pro, even though he took a touch, don't matter. Great ball through. That's another thing he can do that people say he can't. He can't. He can make them passes through. He can do that. He just isn't consistent with it. This is my thing. He just needs to be more consistent. And he was brilliant yesterday. He was. He was excellent. I could have given him a higher score, but I didn't. I don't know why. Just because he lost it 1 or 2 many times where he shouldn't have. He was brilliant. So I don't know. He's our number 10. He's the best in that role. Until we bring another one in, if we do, he's the guy. If he needs a rest and you've been working on getting someone else to understand the role, then play them there. If he doesn't, he's staying in every game. He's better than the others in that role. Yeah, that's it. I think the subs came on. They were fine. Didn't have too much, to be honest, that I can remember. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in a bit. I will reply to comments now. Christmas is done and I have time. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye bye. In a bit.